Hey Dustin, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. How's it going?
It's been pretty, pretty bleak this past
Quarantine's got me down, man.
year.
And a half.
Could be 5 for all we know.
I've lost track of time.
I really needed to watch a movie that lifted my spirits.
I've been watching a lot of those recently.
Yeah. So for this review, we decided to watch
Possessor.
Brandon Cronenberg's sophomore feature Possessor is a bleak sci-fi horror that asks what it means to be an individual and how far one will go to live with their trauma. Tasia Voss is a corporate agent who uses brain implant technology to inhabit other people's bodies, driving them to commit assassinations for the benefit of the company. While she has a special gift for the work, her experiences on these jobs have caused a dramatic change in her, and in her own life, she struggles to suppress violent memories and urges. As her mental strain intensifies, she begins to lose control, and soon she finds herself trapped in the mind of a man whose identity threatens to destroy her own. Starring Andrea Riseborough, Chris Abbott, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. The film has gotten rave reviews and even been touted as a visceral, soul-shattering experience. Fun.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Very good.
So Dustin,
Yeah.
what did you think of Possessor?
So I thought the movie was really good. I liked the artistic style that the approach of it was. There's a lot of crazy scenes where, for example, like wax heads are melting.
And it's also in like stark visual contrast because it was shot in and around like London and Canada.
Yeah.
And so it's very like clean and pristine, but it's also like very stark, like dead, like kind of like pretty, because the future it's trying to depict is extremely, it's a very bleak depiction of the future, which is what we all need to watch right now. But it's, so like, it is in great contrast to like outside and most of the stuff you see. And then there's like these dashes of color that are very, like Dustin said, very pleasing.
Yeah, it offers a really big contrast. And like the future that they depict is like the current like architecture with old vehicles.
Yes.
And everyone vapes.
Everyone vapes. There's no cigarettes.
There's no cigarettes. Cigarettes
and
are probably
everyone
outlawed.
vapes.
Everyone vapes. Just huge.
Which
amounts.
is like, I know it's like, it's world building, because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, they probably outlawed cigarettes, but it a couple times, not on purpose, takes away from the tone just a little.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't not be like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That like this serious thing's happening and someone takes a hit from like a...
Yeah, because like
vape.
she's going through like mental trauma and she's like remembering all the things she's done in her past when she's not supposed to.
And
then she just
hits the vape.
hits the vape.
And
it's
that's...
like, oop, anxiety's gone away.
Yeah, I do want to mention, so this is Brandon Cronenberg's second film,
Yeah.
Son of legendary filmmaker David Cronenberg. I believe that this shows that he was a terrible father, because, not really, but he made, if you're unfamiliar with the work of David Cronenberg, he made a lot of very movies similar to this, very violent and grotesque and psychosexual.
Yeah.
So
And
rubbed off on his son. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
No, it does not. The murder scenes in this film are very, very vivid, even for the cut and edited version that we watched.
We didn't watch the uncut version because we have to pay for it. And
yeah,
this is on Hulu.
Version. This is on Hulu. It is the cut version, the edited version.
Yeah,
the theatrical
cut
version.
It's very violent as it is.
It's very violent as it is.
Not one to watch with the family or your grandma.
I mean, you could. I mean, you could try.
If your grandma's into that stuff.
Your grandma's into that.
Yes, very violent. very violent.
Very
so
violent.
just a lot of blood, but it all works within the premise. It's very like Philip K. Dick, very hard sci-fi. Like the aesthetic he was talking about is very similar, I think, to, this kind of an odd comparison, but Ridley Scott's original Alien, because like on the Nostromo in Alien, it's like the future, but all the computers and stuff are like from the 70s, and so there's like cassettes and like it's kind of that idea of like the future in like a throwback kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I think it's interesting. I don't it doesn't like, I don't know if it was necessary. I don't know if it added to the themes of the film all that much.
I think it added a nice contrast between the scenes, because in the more like serious, like bleak scenes when she's going to visit her family back home, it's like very gray, there's no color, it's very just like, because she feels dead and she doesn't feel like herself anymore. And then whenever you get these scenes of vivid color, she gets to do,
There's always vivid color
people.
when bad things are happening or doing something that's not, doing something that a normal person would not feel okay with. That's kind of when the main character seems to be the most comfortable, and also that's when like we get these bursts of color. All the performances are really good. Andrea Riseborough is great. She's Mandy, which there is some visual similarities, because there's scenes in Mandy that are completely bathed in red. So there's a couple shots that are very similar to that.
And also the editing style really reminded me of a lot of the other Neon films, the company that like helped produce this film or whatever, Neon, because they made other movies like, they particularly focus on thriller/horror movies, and especially psycho horror. The movie She Dies Tomorrow has a lot of these kind of like super fast jump cut, like
and I thought this film, for how bare bones I felt like it was, like it's very like terse, and there's not like super long scenes of rambling dialogue and not a lot of exposition. It doesn't hold your hand. I thought that you did get a good sense of at least the main character, and when the events of the film happen, you don't feel like surprised or it's out of character. So I thought, as like a singular character study about this character going through this very interesting premise, it worked better than I think a lot of other science fiction films, lower budget science fiction films, that try to get a little over ambitious. And I feel like I respect this movie for knowing what it is and accomplishing what it wanted to do, pretty well. So out of 5 stars, I'd give it 4 out of 5. That's like an 8 out of 10. So 4 out of 5 stars.
And then for me, just like the raw like artistry that went into this, that made it really easy. It's not an easy to watch movie, because if you're an average moviegoer, then
I like movies a lot. I'm not gonna be watching it again anytime soon.
Yeah.
Not because it's bad, just because there's some pretty upsetting like violence and implications and straight up just things shown that are pretty.
Yeah. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of like just full. There is some like full frontal nudity in it.
Yeah.
But that part's not like super. That's not like hard to watch. But like, whenever she kills someone, it does go into.
Yeah, it shows you this. There's not a lot of implied violence. There's a lot of shown violence. It's a pretty thoroughly feel bad film, as in not a lot of levity, not a lot of, maybe none, maybe no levity. There's no jokes really, but it works. No. It's consistent in its tone, and that, like I said, the film knows what it is. Brandon Cronenberg knew what he wanted it to be, and he executed it, I think, pretty, almost exact what his vision probably was.
Yeah, and the film was also kind of hard to follow for like some like newer moviegoers that you haven't like seen a lot of like just big cinema movies, and like sometimes you might get confused, like, oh, is it this person?
It
Or, oh,
doesn't.
is
It
this
doesn't hold.
person?
Like I said, there's no.
It doesn't
there's-
hold your hand.
There's
for
not.
the
There's some
movie.
exposition.
Yeah.
Kind of explaining what the job she's doing is, and like you kind of understand why she's doing it, and like motivations are clear, but it doesn't. Like the themes and the way characters are feeling are all conveyed through the performances, and so there's not a lot of like people saying how they feel and why they're doing something. You kind of just you have to kind of understand it. But I think the performances are strong enough that that'll work.
I think that this movie. That sucks.
Okay, let's back in place and
Yeah, we're all good. Okay, and then just to finish, like my review, I would also give it a 4 stars out of 5, maybe even a 4.5. I did really enjoy this movie. It will definitely be in my rewatch list for like sometime this week or next week, because I do tend to like to watch movies more than once, just so I can, you know, catch everything. Because you know, even Henry said it kind of looked like, you know, there's this metaphor of like a cut opening in the neck, and I guess I missed something.
there's stuff. It
Kind of takes maybe a watch or two to kind of catch everything. So if you like the movie, then I would seriously recommend watching it again, just to catch everything, especially on a movie like this.
I do think it's something to say. It's not gonna be for everyone.
Yeah.
It's one to recommend if you're a genre fan, because it's like I think a pretty hardcore genre film. Like it is a sci-fi horror, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It nails both those things. It doesn't really try. I mean, there's drama, but like it is those things. So if you don't like sci-fi, or if you don't like horror,
I would say more if you don't like horror than sci-fi, because it is very bloody and gory, as we've stated before. But
if
I feel like
you're
this.
not a fan of that, you won't. You probably won't enjoy it.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't really like a gateway sci-fi film. There's much better films to get yourself into sci-fi than this. But if you are trying to watch a sci-fi film and you are a sci-fi fan, or
It's
even
an
just
interesting.
like a modern,
It's a good premise.
This would
It's a
be
good
a good one to
sci-fi
watch.
premise, and it executes.
It does.
So
It does
4 out of 5.
4 to 5.
So we're both giving it a recommend, but only if it's a type of movie you enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I know the critic reviews for this film are very high, but the audience scores are much
little bit
lower
lower.
because
It's not
it's
everyone's cup of
not
tea.
one you get home and you're like, oh, I want to sit back and watch a movie.
Yeah.
It's not really that, but it is very good, and I think Brandon Cronenberg achieved what he wanted, and I will be sending him a letter.
Send him an email.
An email? That makes
With-
sense.
with
No,
my
on
therapist.
paper. No, yeah, therapist number. But he likes the old school stuff, so I'll send him a
Yeah.
letter.
Flippity flop.